The night has fallen. Here, fear is real, and the inexplicable rules. I am Yunjin Lee, your companion on this journey through the darkest mysteries. This channel does not bring ordinary stories. It brings echoes, scars, and truths that no one dares to tell. If you feel chills when searching for answers, you are in the right place. Turn off the light. Close the door. We will face the unknown, because here, fear is only the beginning. We uncover something different, something darker. This is not just another cold case. This is a story sent to us by one of our subscribers, someone who spent years collecting fragments of a mystery that law enforcement tried to bury. A mystery that spans nearly a decade, crossing state lines and leaving nothing but questions in its wake. Welcome to YouTube's Darkest Interrogations, Volume 1. Before we begin, I want you to do something for me. Look around your room. Listen to the silence, because after tonight, you might never feel that silence the same way again. If you are ready to walk with me into the shadows, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Share this video with someone who seeks answers, even when those answers lead to darker places. Leave a comment telling me what scares you most about unsolved cases. Now let us begin. It started with a phone call. On March 14th, 1987, the Detroit Police Department received a call at 2:43 in the morning. The caller was a woman named Sarah Chen, a 32-year-old elementary school teacher who lived alone in a modest apartment in the Corktown neighborhood. Her voice was shaking. "Someone is in my apartment," she whispered. "I can hear them moving in the hallway. I locked myself in the bathroom. Please send someone." The dispatcher kept Sarah on the line. Officers were dispatched immediately. The address was logged. The call lasted 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Then, the line went dead. When police arrived at Sarah's apartment at 2:56 in the morning, the front door was unlocked. The lights were on. Nothing appeared disturbed. No signs of forced entry. No signs of struggle. But Sarah Chen was gone. Her purse was on the kitchen counter. Her keys were in the bowl by the door. Her phone was on the bathroom floor, still warm. The bathroom door was locked from the inside, yet somehow, Sarah had vanished. Detective Raymond Harris was assigned to the case. At 48 years old, Harris was a veteran investigator with 23 years on the force. He had seen disappearances before, but something about Sarah Chen's case disturbed him deeply. The 911 recording was reviewed dozens of times. Sarah's voice was clear, coherent, and genuinely terrified. But the recording captured something else, something that made Harris's skin crawl. In the background, just before the line went dead, there was a sound, a whisper. Not from Sarah. Someone or something said a single word. Found. The case went cold within weeks. No witnesses, no evidence, no body. Sarah Chen simply ceased to exist. But Detective Harris could not let it go. He kept the file on his desk. He listened to that recording over and over. And then, 2 years later, something happened that changed everything. On November 9th, 1989, in Cleveland, Ohio, a man named Marcus Williams walked into a police station at 6:15 in the morning. He was covered in dirt. His clothes were torn. His hands were bleeding. He approached the front desk and said 5 words. "I cannot find my family." Marcus Williams was 35 years old, a construction foreman with no criminal record. He lived with his wife, Rebecca, and their 2 children, Emma, age 9, and Jacob, age 6, in a quiet suburban neighborhood. According to Marcus, he had woken up that morning in the woods 3 miles from his home, with no memory of how he got there. The police drove Marcus back to his house. The front door was open. The television was on. Breakfast was on the table, half eaten. Rebecca's coffee was still warm. But Rebecca, Emma, and Jacob were gone. The interrogation of Marcus Williams lasted 11 hours. It was recorded on video. And that recording is where our story truly begins. The tape shows Marcus sitting in a gray interrogation room, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. He looks exhausted, confused, and terrified. Across from him sits Detective Linda Morrison, a sharp-eyed investigator from the Cleveland PD. "Marcus," Detective Morrison begins, "I need you to tell me everything you remember from last night." Marcus rubs his face. "I remember having dinner. Rebecca made spaghetti. The kids were talking about school. Everything was normal. We put the kids to bed around 8:30. Rebecca and I watched TV for a bit. I think I fell asleep on the couch. And then I woke up in the woods. You woke up in the woods, Morrison repeats. Just like that. No memory of leaving your house. No memory of walking 3 miles through the forest. I know how it sounds, Marcus says. His voice breaks. But I swear I do not remember. I do not know what happened. Detective Morrison leans forward. Marcus, I am going to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Have you ever heard the name Sarah Chen? Marcus looks confused. No. Who is that? Morrison slides a photograph across the table. It is a picture of Sarah Chen, the woman who disappeared in Detroit 2 years earlier. Does she look familiar to you? Marcus studies the photo. He shakes his head. I have never seen her before in my life. Are you sure? Morrison presses, because there are some similarities between what happened to her and what happened to your family. What do you mean? Marcus asks. Morrison does not answer directly. Instead, she asks, Marcus, before you woke up in the woods, did you hear anything unusual? Any sounds? Any voices? Marcus hesitates. I am not sure. Maybe. It is hard to explain. Try. Marcus looks down at his hands. When I was walking out of the woods, trying to find my way home, I felt like someone was following me. I kept turning around, but no one was there. And then I heard it. Heard what? A whisper. Like someone was right behind me, whispering in my ear. But when I turned around, there was nothing. Just trees and darkness. What did the whisper say? Marcus swallows hard. It said, found. Detective Morrison goes very still. The camera captures her face, and for just a moment, you can see genuine fear in her eyes. The interrogation continued, but Marcus Williams had no more answers to give. The recording ends with Morrison leaving the room to make a phone call. What we know now from leaked police documents is that Morrison called Detroit PD that same day. She spoke directly to Detective Raymond Harris. She told him about Marcus Williams, about the whisper, about the word found. Harris drove to Cleveland the next morning. What happened next was kept quiet for years. But our subscriber, the one who sent us this story, managed to obtain copies of the interrogation tapes, the police reports, and something else, something much more disturbing. Between 1987 and 1995, there were 17 documented cases across 7 different states, 17 cases of families or individuals disappearing under nearly identical circumstances. No signs of struggle, no evidence of foul play, doors left open, lights left on, lives interrupted mid-moment, as if everyone simply vanished into thin air. And in at least 9 of those cases, there were interrogations, people who claimed to have no memory of what happened. People who heard whispers, people who heard that same word, found. The tapes were never released to the public, the cases were never solved, and the police files one by one began to disappear. Detective Raymond Harris and Detective Linda Morrison started working together unofficially. They shared information, compared notes, and built a timeline. What they discovered terrified them. The disappearances were not random. There was a pattern. Each case occurred in the same month, 2 years apart. March 87, November 89, July 91, March 93, November 95. The pattern was precise, methodical, and chilling, but there was something else. In several of the cases, witnesses reported seeing a man. He was described as tall, wearing a dark coat, always standing at a distance. He never approached anyone. He never spoke. He just watched. And then he disappeared. One witness, a neighbor of the Williams family, described the man in detail. He had this way of standing, she said. He was not really there. He was a shadow that learned how to stand up. When shown a police sketch, she confirmed it. That is him. That is the man I saw standing across the street the night before the Williams family disappeared. The sketch was circulated. And then something extraordinary happened. 5 other witnesses, from 5 different states, identified the same man, the same face, the same dark coat, the same unsettling presence. Police tried to find him. They had a sketch. They had witness statements. but every lead went nowhere. It was as if the man did not exist. No name, no address, no records, nothing. And then, in August 1993, Detective Linda Morrison disappeared. Morrison was last seen leaving the Cleveland Police Department headquarters at 7:30 in the evening. She told a colleague she was going home. Her car was found the next morning in the parking lot of an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The doors were unlocked. Her keys were in the ignition. Her gun was still in its holster on the passenger seat. Linda Morrison was never seen again. The interrogation tapes were locked away. The case files were sealed, and Detective Raymond Harris, the man who started it all, was told to drop the investigation. When he refused, he was reassigned, pushed to a desk job, silenced. But Harris kept copies of everything. He continued investigating on his own time, and what he found, in the final months of his life, was perhaps the most disturbing piece of the puzzle. In January 1994, Harris tracked down a man named Thomas Greyson. Greyson was a person of interest in 3 of the disappearance cases, but he was never charged. He was interrogated multiple times, but he always had an alibi. He was always somewhere else when the disappearances occurred. And yet, Harris could not shake the feeling that Greyson was connected. The final interrogation of Thomas Greyson took place on January 27, 1994, in a small interview room in Detroit. This interrogation is perhaps the most chilling of them all. Harris sits across from Greyson, who is calm, almost amused. Greyson is 42 years old, thin, with sharp features and cold eyes. He wears a dark coat, even indoors. "Why am I here again, Detective?" Greyson asks, smiling slightly. "We have been through this before." "I know," Harris says. "But I have new information. Information that connects you to at least 5 of the disappearances." "Really?" Greyson leans back in his chair. "And what information is that?" Harris slides a photograph across the table. It is the police sketch, the one drawn from witness descriptions. Multiple witnesses have identified you as the man seen near the locations where people disappeared. You were there, Greyson. You were always there. Greyson looks at the sketch. He does not react. "That could be anyone." "It is you," Harris insists. "I know it is you, and I am going to prove it." Greyson meets Harris's eyes, and then he does something unexpected. He laughs. Not a nervous laugh. Not a defensive laugh. A genuine, cold laugh that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. "You cannot prove anything, Detective," Greyson says softly, "because I have not done anything wrong. I am just a man who likes to watch. I like to see how things unfold, how people react when they realize they are not safe, when they realize that something is watching them, waiting for them." Harris leans forward. "What are you talking about?" Greyson smiles. "You heard the whispers, did you not? The recordings, the word they all heard. Found. Do you know what that means, Detective?" Harris does not answer. "It means they were chosen," Greyson says. "Chosen for something greater, something beyond your understanding. And no matter how many questions you ask, no matter how many tapes you listen to, you will never find them. Because they are you cannot reach, somewhere you cannot follow." "Where?" Harris demands. "Where are they?" Greyson leans closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Everywhere. And nowhere. They are in the spaces between moments, in the silence between heartbeats. They are found, Detective. And soon, you will be too." The recording cuts off abruptly. Harris left the interrogation room and filed a report recommending Greyson be held for further questioning. But when officers went to detain Greyson, he was gone. The doors were still locked. The windows were sealed. But Thomas Greyson had vanished from a secured room in a police station. He was never seen again. Detective Raymond Harris died 6 months later, in July 1994, of a heart attack at his desk. He was 55 years old. The official cause of death was natural causes, but those who knew Harris said he had been terrified in his final weeks. He told colleagues he felt watched, followed. He heard whispers when he was alone. And one night, just days before he died, he called a friend and said something that no one could forget. "I heard it," Harris said, his voice shaking. "I heard the whisper. It said my name. It said I was found. Now, let me pause here for a moment. I know what you are thinking. This sounds impossible. It sounds like fiction. But I want you to understand something. Every detail I have shared with you tonight comes from real police reports, real interrogation tapes, and real witness statements. Our subscriber spent years verifying every piece of this story. The names are real. The dates are real. The disappearances are real. And they remain unsolved. What do you think happened to these people? What do you think Thomas Greyson was? Leave your theories in the comments below. If this story unsettled you, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this is only Volume 1. There are more interrogations, more disappearances, more questions that need answers. Share this video with someone who craves the truth, even when the truth is terrifying. And tell me, what moment in this story gave you chills? Now, let us continue. After Harris's death, the investigation died with him. The case files were archived. The interrogation tapes were buried in storage. And for years, it seemed like the story of YouTube's darkest interrogations would remain hidden forever. But then, in 2003, something changed. A journalist named Jennifer Blake was researching cold cases for a documentary series when she stumbled upon a reference to the disappearances. She started digging. She filed Freedom of Information Act requests. She interviewed retired police officers. She tracked down witnesses. And slowly, piece by piece, she began to rebuild the story that Harris and Morrison had uncovered a decade earlier. Jennifer Blake was 29 years old, determined and fearless. She believed that if she could just find the right piece of evidence, she could solve the mystery that had haunted so many investigators before her. She started by tracking down Marcus Williams, the man who woke up in the woods in Cleveland. It took her months to find him. Marcus had moved several times, changed his name, and tried to disappear from public records. But Jennifer found him living in a small town in Oregon, working at a hardware store under the name Michael Warren. When Jennifer knocked on his door, Marcus almost did not let her in. But when she mentioned the interrogation tapes, something changed in his eyes. He let her inside. They spoke for hours. Marcus told her things he had never told anyone. He told her that after his family disappeared, he started having in the dreams. He saw his wife and children standing in a dark place, calling out to him. But he could never reach them. He would wake up screaming, covered in sweat, hearing that whisper again. Found. I know how it sounds. Marcus told Jennifer. I know people think I am crazy, but I swear they are still out there. Somewhere. And whatever took them is still watching. Still waiting. Jennifer asked him if he had ever seen the man in the sketch. The man in the dark coat. Marcus went pale. Yes, he whispered. I see him all the time. He is always there, just at the edge of my vision, standing in the parking lot, standing across the street, standing in the woods behind my house. He never comes closer. He just watches. And I know one day he is going to say, I am found too. Jennifer left Marcus's house with more questions than answers, but she was not deterred. She continued her investigation, interviewing more witnesses, reviewing more case files. And then she made a discovery that changed everything. In December 2004, Jennifer found something buried in the archives of the Detroit Police Department. It was a file that had been misfiled, hidden in a box of unrelated documents. The file contained photographs, notes, and a single audio tape labeled Interrogation, Unknown Subject, October 1995. Jennifer took the tape home and listened to it. What she heard made her blood run cold. The recording was poor quality, filled with static and background noise, but the voices were clear enough. It was an interrogation, but not like the others. This time the person being interrogated was not a victim or a witness. It was the man himself, the man in the dark coat. The interrogation was conducted by Detective Raymond Harris, just months before his death. Harris's voice is steady, but you can hear the tension, the fear, beneath his words. State your name for the record, Harris says. There is a long pause. Then a voice. Low, cold, emotionless. You already know my name, Detective. State it anyway. Another pause. Then, Thomas Greyson. But that is not my real name. It is just the one I use when I need to be seen. What is your real name? I do not have one. Not in the way you understand names. Harris's voice sharpens. Stop playing games. Answer the question. I am answering, detective. You just do not like the answer. You want something simple, something that fits into your understanding of the world. But I do not fit. None of this fits, and that is why you are so afraid. I am not afraid of you. Greyson laughs. It is the same cold, chilling laugh from the earlier interrogation. Yes, you are. You are afraid because you know I am telling the truth. Those people are gone. You cannot save them. And you, deep down, that you are next. Where are they? Harris demands. Where did you take them? I did not take them anywhere, detective. I simply found them. And once they are found, they go where they need to go. A place outside of here. A place where time does not move the way it does for you. They are not dead. They are not alive. They are simply found. That does not make any sense. It does not have to make sense to you. It only has to be true. There is a long silence on the tape. Then Harris speaks again, his voice quieter, more desperate. How do I stop this? How do I protect people from being found? Greyson's response is chilling. You cannot. Once the process begins, it cannot be stopped. And it has already begun for you, detective. You heard the whisper. Did you not? You heard your name. You are found. And soon, you will understand what that means. The recording ends abruptly, cutting off mid-sentence. Harris's final notes in the file are brief and cryptic. Subject released due to lack of evidence. Recommend psychiatric evaluation. Cannot hold without probable cause. God help us. Jennifer Blake listened to that tape 3 times. She transcribed every word. She analyzed every pause, every inflection. And then she did something that, in hindsight, she should never have done. She tried to find Thomas Greyson. Jennifer spent 6 months searching. She combed through public records, old newspaper archives, census data, anything that might give her a lead on who Thomas Greyson really was. She found references to men with that name, but none of them matched the description. None of them had any connection to the disappearances. It was as if Thomas Greyson did not exist. Or rather, as if he only existed when he wanted to be seen. In June 2005, Jennifer received an email. The sender was listed as unknown. The subject line was empty. The body of the email contained a single sentence. You should stop looking. Jennifer ignored it. She continued her investigation. She published a series of articles online, detailing the disappearances, the interrogations, and the mysterious man in the dark coat. The articles gained attention. People started sharing them, discussing them. Theories spread across forums and message boards. And then, on August 13, 2005, Jennifer Blake disappeared. Her apartment was found exactly as she left it. Her computer was on. Her notes were spread across her desk. Her phone was plugged in, charging. But Jennifer was gone. No signs of struggle. No evidence of foul play. The door had been locked from the inside. On her computer screen was a document, open and unsaved. It contained a single sentence, typed just before she vanished. He is here. I can hear him whispering. He said, I am found. Are you still with me? Are you still listening? Because this is where the story stops being about the past and starts being about now. About you. About all of us who seek answers in the dark. Jennifer Blake's disappearance was never solved. Her case joined the others, locked away in the archives of unsolved mysteries. And for years, the story of YouTube's darkest interrogations faded into obscurity till our subscriber found it, until they sent it to me, until tonight. And now, I have to ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Have you ever heard a whisper when no one else was around? Have you ever felt that cold, creeping sensation that something just beyond your perception is waiting for you? If you have, leave a comment. Tell me your story. Share your experience. Because maybe, just maybe, you are not alone. Maybe there are others who have heard the whispers, others who have seen the man in the dark coat, others who are waiting to be found. Subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more. Turn on notifications if you dare to go deeper. Share this video with someone who needs to know the truth, even if the truth is terrifying. And remember, the night is not over yet. Before we end tonight, there is one more thing you need to know. One final piece of the puzzle that our subscriber uncovered. In 2012, 7 years after Jennifer Blake's disappearance, a package was delivered to the Detroit Police Department. It had no return address. Inside was a single cassette tape, labeled Interrogation, Final Recording. The police listened to the tape. What they heard was so disturbing that the tape was immediately sealed and classified. But our subscriber managed to obtain a transcript. And with their permission, I am going to share it with you now. The recording begins with silence, then a voice, not Thomas Greyson's voice, not Detective Harris's voice, a new voice, soft, calm, almost kind. This is the final message, for those who are listening, for those who are searching, for those who want to know the truth. The disappearances are real. The interrogations are real. The man you call Thomas Greyson is real. But he is not a man. He is something else. Something that has always existed in the spaces between what you know and what you fear. He does not take people. He finds them. He finds those who are ready, those who are searching for something more, those who are willing to step beyond the boundaries of the known world. And when he finds them, they go willingly, because they understand, finally, that there is more to existence than the life they were living. They are not dead. They are not missing. They are simply elsewhere. The interrogations were never meant to be solved. They were meant to be warnings, invitations, messages left behind for those who would listen. If you are hearing this, it is because you are searching. And if you are searching, it means you are already on the path. The whisper will come. The word will be spoken. And when it is, you will have a choice. You can run. You can hide. You can pretend you never heard it. Or you can accept it. You can step into the unknown. You can be found. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. But know this. Once you hear the whisper, you cannot unhear it. Once you are found, you cannot be lost again. The path is irreversible. The journey has already begun. Good luck. And welcome to the darkness. The recording ends. The voice does not return. And to this day, no one knows who left that message. The night has not yet ended. The fear is still real. And the truth remains, as always, just out of reach. This is Yoonjin Lee. Till next time, stay curious and stay vigilant.